Welcome to Burgh, Vivant. I'm Mike Bizzelli. This is Lonnie the Theater Lady, and we're here to talk about the man who mistook his wife for a hat. As such, yes, there you go. Written, the story is about what's a neurological case study written by Dr. Oliver Sacks, who recently passed away a few years ago, like a year or two ago. And it is about an actual neurological disease, but it's an opera, right?
A chamber opera in one act that lasts 70 minutes, and when it was over, I can remember looking at you, and the audience was stunned because it seemed as though it maybe were time for an intermission. So people didn't even react
there was
at
a
first.
bit of a...
And I looked and I said, there's no intermission.
Right. Well, there couldn't have been.
And then I looked at my watch and it's like, oh my gosh, it's over. It moved so fast. I have never in my life ever seen anything like this. It was so compelling, the love that his wife had for Dr. P. They never really did
Mr.
say his
P.
name. Mr. P. I thought he was a doctor too.
No, he was a musicologist.
Yeah, he was.
Professor.
I thought he got his doctorate in music, but maybe
he was
not. Okay.
Mr. P.
But
played by Kevin Glavin,
who I have seen so many times in the Pittsburgh Opera play comedic roles. So it was really fun to see how versatile he is as he plays a man with a neurological disorder that enables him to only see bits and pieces of things, not the whole.
Right.
Which brings to mind how effective Joseph Siemens'
projection. Oh, yeah, the projection design.
That went behind the whole stage. And he was actually showing us what
was going on in the mind of Mr. P.
Because of only seeing parts of things and not the whole. Right. Fascinating.
There are only three characters. It's a three-hander. It is Dr. S, or Dr. Sacks, really.
The real person, Oliver Sacks.
Right, played by Ian McEwan. Mm-hmm. And then Katie Williams was the Mrs. P.
The beautiful soprano voice of Katie Williams,
it was
lovely.
Beautiful. So Mr. P and Mrs. P and the doctor, the three-hander, and Mr. Dr. S, Dr. Sacks, narrates the story, just as you would in the case study, but it's set to music.
And I love the fact that a lot of the musical background was Schumann.
It was.
The German composer. And these three beautiful classical voices that sang nonstop for 70 minutes, I thought were truly amazing for their talent and their stamina, and to keep the audience so engaged in everything. Totally compelling performances.
And you don't expect to see an opera about a man whose mind is deteriorating. That is curious, especially with the visual production. That visual production was also done in A Winter's Tale, and All the Names. So he's worked a lot with Quantum. Which
is probably why Carla, as the director, chose him.
Added so much more to it.
Oh yes, it's not just a case study. Case study set to music. The part that gave it so much human feel was the loyalty of his wife and her unfailing love and empathy for her husband.
Now at the beginning she got on my nerves, because not the actor, but the way she was making excuses for his neurological disease. Like, she's like, he's just being silly. He's playing a game.
She was pointing out all the positive things that were there, because his music was what allowed him to continue functioning.
But she
was pointing to that because that was his core self.
Seeing that her husband, I think one of the things that was very compelling about it was she was refusing to see that her husband was losing his mind. And I
think losing his mind is a bit strong. He had visual agnosia, whatever that's called. It was a neurological thing. He wasn't losing his mind.
Well, bits and pieces of his mind.
Bits.
But yeah, no, it's an unusual thing. It was a completely unusual thing.
Totally
An opera with visual design.
And the surtitles.
Subtitles.
No, it wasn't sub. They're surtitles, which means
they're up.
Because they're up. That's French for on or above. Surtitles. Okay. But that was really helpful. Even though it was in English, some of it was so emotive and so emotional. It was helpful to kind of check up
and you
there.
always forget you're reading after a certain point. When you're reading along, I tend to forget that I'm reading along after a while. So,
God bless you.
Excellent show. Directed by Carla Bose. And
running through December 11th, and I believe that this is one of the most unusual and engrossing and compelling shows that I've seen for a really long time. I highly recommend it.
It does stay with you.
It stays with you, and you don't even have to like opera or even care about opera because
never
as
was
a
a
chamber
fan.
opera, but it's not the classical. Oh,
Right.
You know,
There's singing words I can understand.
Yes, and it's modern. It was written after the book
And
was
it's
written
English.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
In the 80s, not the ladies. In the 80s.
In the 80s with the ladies.
Highly recommend it.
Do men even wear hats these days? Do you ever see a
Yes.
man in a hat?
I see you in a hat all the time. The minute the temperature goes below
Below
50 degrees.
That's true. I've been mistaken for an ATM.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you know, my first husband once mistook me for a doormat. Is that close?
Oh my.
God rest his soul.
Oh.